And we're live. Welcome to HIQA. HIQA stands for Human Innovation Questions Answered, the live show I am doing every Thursday, 11 a.m. Today, I will cover the topic of how do I lead myself? And I will share some tips and tricks on how you can do this for you too. And if you stay until the end of this live show, I will share a strategy on how you can keep your ambition high. But let's get into it and looking into how do I lead myself? How do I lead myself was a topic I have thought about the last couple of months already because I'm coaching individuals and working with entrepreneurs and working, of course, as usual, with big corporations. And one of the things I have seen is successful people in this world, they're confident. So they're confident, and being confident is one of the things where we see if we get people being confident, there is something in that. So if we go into the definition of confidence, the definition of confidence, and I will read that here. So confidence is the feeling or belief that one can have faith in or rely on someone or something. So if we then take the confidence as the general term and definition into self-confidence, simplifying it, self-confidence for me is believing in yourself. So if you then look into how do I lead myself and combine that with confidence, because I understand and I've seen it over and over again that successful entrepreneurs and leaders are confident and are specifically self-confident. How do you build this and how does that work? So a topic I always look into is how can you build that for yourself and as well for others if you work with others. And a key part of that is knowing specific things about yourself. And that's always a starting point for me. And that's where I will go deeper into this. I will touch how do you find out what your superpower is and what your ambition is. So let's go straight away into the superpower. Why do so many people don't know what their superpower is? So if I give you an example, as I said, I'm working with a lot of people around the world and coaching them since years and some new as well. So I always ask the question on, so what is your superpower? And working with so many people around the world, inside of corporates and as well individuals, entrepreneurs, 95%, more than 95% don't know what their superpower is. So then I'm asking, so if you would be a superhero, what superhero would you be? And they can't answer that. So for me, knowing my superpower has helped me over time being successful in corporate and as well with my own endeavors. So, superpower, just to give you a little understanding of what I mean with superpower. Superpower for me is the basically the red thread or the through line of success in your career and in your life. Basically, for me, it's not limited to the work world. It's a lifelong thing. So a thing and a topic where you're good at since you're a small child, something that is very 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 easy for you, where you basically don't need energy, don't need to use a lot of energy. And that's a lot of people see that this is your superpower, and they think like you're extremely good in that. So that's something what the superpower is. But how can we find our superpowers and how do we do that? So for me, it's how do you find your through line and how do you find the possibility to understand and then of course later on use your superpower and direct it. I always talk about a laser beam. So if you know your superpower and the energy source on how to fire it, you can zoom in and build a laser beam. So one thing I recommend everyone to do, ask your family and friends, what do you think is my superpower? And I know it's super awkward because a lot of people is like, yeah, why do you ask these questions? Are you in a therapy or whatever? But it's quite interesting. If you do this, you get a lot of answers where you wouldn't be 100% aware of that this is the answer from your best friends, from your family members, and even colleagues if you are at work. So ask them, what do you believe is my superpower? And then another thing you can do is look back. Look back on what are the things that are kind of easy to you? What are the things that happen over time and happen again and again and again over your career, where it's like, I don't know how I did that, but that's something that's super easy to me. I know how to do this in a very, very easy way, and I can repeat that. And if you find something that's the through line, and I can give you maybe just my example, I'm extremely good, or my superpower is being a person that is connecting. That's why I'm the connector as well, if you look at my website. Because I have had the natural talent somehow. I don't know how I got that, but connecting people, bringing people together and doing successful things. And that goes into work environment where you build teams, but it also went into how do you do this in a personal life? When I'm coming back to my hometown, um, I'm bringing people together and they're very interested in engaging with me and getting to meet each other. And funnily enough, they they don't do this when I'm not there. A lot of people don't meet up when I'm not the driver of this. So that's an interesting point, and that's a bit my superpower. But before we go into the next part, let's have a look. I got a couple of questions. So Stuart was asking already, what is my superpower, which is connecting, and you have been one of the many people I've connected and stay connected with. Um, Louis saying confidence is one step, the other is not to intimidate potential customers. Yes, good one. Okay, we have so many questions today. That's good. Fatma is dialing in from Indonesia. Hello, Fatma. Great to see you here. What is more important, develop our strength or improve our weakness? I'm a big believer in doubling down on strength, because there you can spend a lot of time on all your weaknesses, but if you double down on your strengths, you can use your superpower, if we take that example, to boost yourself even further, rather than, for example, if you take myself, I'm fairly okay in talking and listening and speaking with people, but I'm crap in writing. So for me, learning how to write professionally will take me a lot of time and a lot of energy, rather than me focusing on videos, on live shows like I do with this, and with my podcast, which is fairly easy to me. I can advance way faster with that perspective than learning how to write, because in the end, if I do this successful, I can hire a writer who helps me, building out my weaknesses in the way that I can delegate things to that person. So maybe that helps you, Fatma, as well. Then there's another one from Stuart. Our company recently asked us to do a personal SWOT analysis. Yeah, it's basically a little bit into that direction. So understanding your strengths and weaknesses will help you to understand what you're extremely good at. But for me, the superpower is something more deeper, because if you do this in a company setting, I guess, Stuart, at least, um, you will give answers that are obvious and that are not so deep. If I truly focus on superpower, that's the through line through your life. So for me, this connecting part is extremely visible if you know me well, from childhood, from playing football, from being in school, from being later on in professional education, being in the different corporates, being with my clients, doing events like I did last week. So that's something, in my life, which I have discovered, and I needed to coach to find that out. So that's why I thought I will share this today with all of you, so that you have the possibility to use the couple of questions from my side to help that to find it out for yourself as well. Frank is asking, is it possible to have a superpower without a strategy? 100%. I believe every person on earth has a superpower. It's just that we are not aware of it. We are not trained and have not learned often to think about ourselves, to think about what we are extremely good at and how we can use that. And if you look into the work what I'm doing with very large corporations, I always go back to the individual and say, you need to lead yourself before you can lead others. And that is helping you to be successful in life, and it is helping you to be successful and your companies or the company you work in to be successful as well. So what do we have? Stuart is liking my superpower. People getting people together and get shit done. But also creating the map for the team. Yeah, good one. It's really, then it's the application of the superpower. So it's not just understanding the superpower, is utilizing the superpower to do good in this world. And that's what I'm trying to do with the connecting part. For my part, is how do I use my superpower to connect the innovators around the world, to inspire more people to innovate and together change the world. So that's a little bit from a mission perspective, utilizing my superpower. So finding it out is the hard way. Using it is way easier, because if you know it, then you can direct it. Let's get into the next question. So, superpower, another part of self confidence and confidence in general, is understanding your ambition. So, what is our ambition as humans, as individuals, and how can we find it? So, if we go into my definition of an ambition, and it's not what is the goal, that I want to be the big manager in that company, that I want to be a rich person, whatever that is. For me, it's more about what is the energy source you have. So what is the energy source that is driving you, getting out of bed every day? And most of the time, it's not the obvious things where you say, yeah, I want to be that big manager. That's maybe driving you to get to that level where you are that manager. And then, so it's more about what is the energy source of my life and how can I use that? Combining the energy source with the superpower will make you successful, because you understand way more about yourself than 95%, as I said in the beginning, 95% of all others in the whole world, just by understanding that you can direct it. And it's, again, we often don't understand the energy source we have and the ambition we have through that energy source, because we only notice it when it's gone. I've had the opportunity to coach people around the world in different countries. And what I've learned is that most of the time we understand it and we feel it, but we are not acting on it. So you lose the energy. You don't feel well. And I've had people, they found it out 5 years after something happened, and they need to undo all of that to feel happy again. And that sometimes led to, I need to change my job, I need to change the company, I need to close my own company, or I need to split up with my husband, with my wife. So very, very difficult things. So for me, if you know the energy source, where you get your energy from, it's easier to understand, hey, there's something wrong. Since 2 weeks, I'm very tired. I don't feel the energy anymore. I don't have the drive I normally have. And sometimes that's just something that happens to us in life, so it's not dramatic. But then you need to understand, what is the source of that? Why is the energy not flowing anymore? And if you understand that, then you can work with it and say, hey, I'm going to change this right now. I will undo what the energy, like the energy sucking element of what happened to me, or what I put into action. So if you want to find it out for yourself, is really going a level deeper. So imagine you have all the money in the world. You don't need to go to work for money, because when I'm talking to people, I'm always asking these questions. So what is your ambition? It's like, yeah, I want to be a big manager. I want to have money. I want to have enough money for my family. I want to have enough money for my friends. And obvious, all of us want to have more money. But from an ambition perspective, if you have all the money in the world, you don't need to get out of bed. What would you do? And just take an A4 paper, where you write down, it's like, what are the things you would do if you don't need to go out of bed? And some people might say, yeah, I want to watch Netflix. I want to meet friends for coffee. I want to travel around the world. Okay, if you have done all of that, we can only watch so much of Netflix. Someday it's getting boring. So I've worked with people who lost their job, and then for 2 months they go into Netflix, but then it's kind of they have lost their whole energy. They don't know what it is. So for me, it's an ambition level of where you want to be with your life in the future, and is really understanding that in a way for yourself. And for me, it's not important that you 100% understand exactly where it comes from. It's more about what is it. And for example, if we take myself again, because I already see in the comments, can you give an example? Of course. Thanks, Stuart, for poking me. So for me, one of the biggest energy sources is that I want to be with people. I want to get out of bed and meet people and engage with people. And of course, that's connected to my superpower. Obviously, if you find the connections, then it's very easy to use them. So for me, it's like I'm very, very unhappy when I'm not around people. I love to be alone in between, but I have seen it specifically now. We have been a time where it was the pandemic, where you're not exposed to people. I went back to Germany in this small town where I grew up, and that was dragging me down. And I was knowing that it was the wrong thing from an energy source, but there was a personal reason why I did that move to Germany. And I was knowing that as soon as I can, I will switch that. I will switch that, and that's why we, for example, moved back, not back, moved out of Germany and moved to Spain early this year. So for me, it's being around people, being physically around people, and engaging with people around what they're dreaming, what they want to accomplish in their life. So for me, it's like my parents always said, you have a helping syndrome, or helper syndrome. I'm not sure if that's a proper English word, but it's kind of like I want to be around people. I want people to be successful. I want to help people. And using now my superpower and my ambition, my energy source, that's for me, it's a perfect match in my case. Understanding I am super good in connecting people, bringing people together, and helping them to be successful. So, and that's not just business wise, it's also on a personal level. Super, super small things. And everyone who is connected to me knows that you can always reach out to me and ask me for a favor. And 99% of the time, I'm going to do that for at least for all my friends. Let me get to check. So, Stuart is answering for him, it's a sense of accomplishment, building cool stuff, working with smart people, and feeling of progress. Good one. Yeah, so it's really, I mean, if you go even deeper, what are the strategy to keep my ambition is understanding your why. And I know that's a very, very, very high level one, but if you understand what your why of your life is and go deeper into that rabbit hole on looking into why do I exist and why do I have this energy and what do I want to accomplish in my life, and taking that from a selfless perspective. So the strategy is finding out your why, but then not focusing on yourself. Not focusing on yourself where it's all about you. It's more about how do I want to leave this world in a way that I have helped people, I have changed things in this world that make a big change. And for me, it's not everyone needs to be the president of the United States or something very big. You can do this wherever you are and whatever you do. It's more about finding it out for yourself and then using your superpower and your energy, which is for me the ambition, to do this over and over and over again. So people will recognize you for doing this. And then magic happens. Magic happens in the process of doing this. And if we go back to how we started today, is leading yourself. For me, it's a very, very crucial thing, which we are all not too well connected to ourselves. We're all driven by material things, by other things that are pushed from the outside world towards us. How do we take a step back and truly find our self-confidence, find our superpowers, and go back in understanding what our energy is, what our ambition is, and then using that to build, as I always say, a laser beam to be successful, to use your superpowers, not just from a business sense and from a work sense, as well on a personal level for yourself, but as well for everyone who is connected to you. So we have covered, I think, all questions, at least I have had already prepared and got from everyone sent. I think that's it for today. 20 minutes, it's a good time. Thank you very much for watching and listening to this. If you have more questions, if you want to cover, me to cover other topics going forward, every Thursday, 11 a.m. Central European Time, I will do the HIQA, Human Innovation Questions Answered. Thank you very much and see you next week.